as it had the day she'd learned he was going to marry Frida Gerard. "Good morning, Gabriel," Leanna said. Her cool voice seemed to startle him. What had he expected? Had he thought she'd throw her arms around him or dissolve into tears? That she was tempted to do both was something he must never know. As emotions rushed through his eyes, she waited for him to reply. He must know, as she did, that what he said next would set the tone of their future interactions. Interactions? What an unfeeling word. Yet such words would keep distance between them. "I didn't know your Waglers lived on this farm," Gabriel said. "We've been here over a year." She raised her chin as if she could cut the differences in their heights, for he was almost a foot taller than she was. "Are you visiting someone here?" "Please say ja," she begged silently. "No. We've decided to become part of this new church district." It took every bit of strength Leanna possessed to keep her shoulders from sagging at the thought of having Gabriel, his wife, and their Bopley as her neighbors. She hadn't been successful in banishing him from her thoughts. Now, seeing him at least every 2 weeks for church, he'd be a constant reminder of the worst betrayal she'd ever endured. "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." That psalm, which had offered her comfort, whispered in her mind. "Did you say something about goat's milk?" She remembered what he'd said, but she didn't want to talk about why he and his family had come to Harmony Creek Hollow. He looked relieved, but didn't give her the smile that used to make her heart yearn to twirl about with joy. He remained somber as he answered, "The doctor suggested goat's milk for my Boplin." She heard a bleat from the milking platform. Charity had gotten tired of waiting and thought Leanna should know it, but Leanna couldn't move, couldn't speak, couldn't think of anything but what Gabriel had just said. He had more than one Bopley he held with the ease of an experienced parent in the crook of one arm. She shouldn't be surprised. Like her, he was a twin, but unlike her and her sister Annie, he and his brother weren't identical twins. Twins were more prevalent in some families, so him being the dad of twins wasn't unexpected. It was a reminder, however, of how far his life had changed since the last time they'd spoken, and how little hers had. She'd moved with her gross-mommy and siblings, as well as her older brother Lyndon's family, from Pennsylvania to northern New York. She'd bought and now tended a herd of goats that made her laugh with their antics when she wasn't frustrated with their attempts to sneak through the fence. She had jobs cleaning houses for English neighbors to help provide for the household. She remained unmarried, the sole member of the friendship group she, her sister, and 2 friends had laughingly named Harmony Creek Spinsters Club, to not find a husband after moving to the new settlement. The only romance in her life, other than a few attempts by her sister at matchmaking, were the novels she read before she went to sleep each night. She told herself to stop feeling sorry for herself. She had a good life, with a loving family and kind friends. She was a member of the devoted light, who came together to worship and praise God. Would be better for their digestion. Realizing Gabriel had continued talking, Leanna struggled to listen past the roar of the wind-swept ocean that had taken up residence in her head. He was going to be living in Harmony Creek Hollow, so she must get used to him being nearby. But how? Gabriel Miller wondered why nobody had warned him Leanna was part of the Wagler family living down the road from the farm he'd bought with his brother. Because the surname was common in Lancaster County, he hadn't given a second thought to his new neighbors. He should have, and maybe a third and a fourth thought. He had no idea how he was going to get used to having pretty Leanna right next door. When they'd lived